Chomper, either a direct relative of Audrey II from Little Shop of Horrors, or the most villainous Venus flytrap of all time. Lee Everett, quite the well-rounded guy, no matter the choices of the player behind the screen. Frankie the Pitchfork, proof that peer pressure is almost never a positive connotation. Pac-Man, eating pixels for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert for nearly 4.5 decades. Toad, he might seem a little crazy, but the reality is he's just too excited for his own good. Yes Man Jr., unquestionably the goofiest looking one of them all. Wii Fit Trainer, making casual workouts and yoga poses more fun than usual. Kirby, from high-pitched inhalation to literally copyright striking his enemies. Pete, the farmer who looks remarkably odd, but still is unable to subtract from the charm. Ness, the shyest, yet most psychic, gaming hero in history. Mumbo Jumbo, the wizard who worked a miracle to figure out safe transformations on a bear and a bird. Goomba, somehow still the most populous species in the Mushroom Kingdom, despite the millions of them who have been unceremoniously stomped upon. Maria, accurate representation of external shyness coupled with internal professionalism. Cactus, a gradual rise from mediocrity in a tower defense game to vivid viability in a shooter. Pea Shooter, when one of the most iconic staples of a franchise is often one of the most bland or underwhelming characters in the games. Falco Lombardi, the most perpetually sarcastic Falcon. Conker, the most perpetually angry squirrel, whose feelings are somewhat valid surprisingly often. Ultravore, when the most vicious sea creature also ends up being the most generous sea creature. Sarah, for a protagonist of such a charming game, she was really deprived of task variety when compared to Harvest Moon. Walter, single-mouthedly turning a fish game into a slapstick comedy, while properly being a nuisance in the process. Steve, that one character from the Cube game who broke every record, from general recognition to sheer strength. Minos, cubes with surprising amounts of character, which very few seem to recognize. Skeleton, the character who has been buffed more than all the rest, and perhaps uncoincidentally, has always been the most overpowered enemy in the game. Sunflower, quite a useful flower, but let's be real, there's no reason she should look as happy as she does. Glowbox, perpetually goofy, yet correctly funny enough to have admirable character. Ristar, nobody knows how to actually pronounce his name, nor how he managed to gain immunity to concussions. Barandigo, the most visually appealing casual boss battle. Jill, living, breathing credibility to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Marcus Phoenix, the angriest soldier in the history of war, and for the most off-the-wall reasons.
Oh shit, they're gonna mess up my fucking tomatoes!
Peppy Hair, when furry creatures get wise and do something wholesome with it. Damon Baird, when a soldier specializes in sarcasm, up to and including out-of-pocket statements, yet does not hold back on remarkable resourcefulness. Kazooie. Impatience, snobbiness, and overpowered abilities all flocked into a single bird. Chuzzleball. When a ball with eyes alone has more personality than the entirety of most modern media. Foresight. 4 aminos from Tetris Worlds stacked upon one another means 4 times the savior attitude. Clementine. How to mature around an apocalypse the gradual way. Pooh. When your home turf and skill set are so neatly elaborate, they entirely contradict your first name. Walnut. The plant that's evolved so much, very few people call it by its actual name anymore. Creeper. When possibly the most recognizable character in all of gaming earns that title via every nefarious method possible. Crazy Dave. Let's be real, he doesn't have a license to own, drive, or fly that RV, but at least he's honest about being crazy. Hover Goat 3000. The world's most inspirational goat. Sonic the Hedgehog. An animal so fast, he evolved hardware and software because of it. Rayman. Even without any limbs, he manages to be among the neatest. Greg the Grim Reaper. Somehow, someway, death itself spitting facts people know all about. Yoshi. Taking the teeth out of a dinosaur in an effort to make him adorable, and more than succeeding. Coltrane. The most hyped soldier of all time. Banjo. The bear whose moveset is somehow more elaborate than most fighting game characters. Stinky the Snail. Spending 2 decades picking up loose change and enjoying it entirely too much. Colonel Corn. When a starch for a soldier is one of the most effective weapons out of hundreds within the game. Foot Soldier. When an actual soldier can only just barely match the weapon power of the aforementioned starch. Vector. A stereotypical naughty boy in space, but it undeservingly pays off. Kenny. The well-loved, yet intensely hardcore and sometimes out-of-pocket man. Super Mario. If it weren't for this guy, most of the other gaming characters probably wouldn't even exist. Guppy. No wonder it's the first fish of the game, as this one looks like it's fish tank material. Piranha Plant. Jumping over them is one thing, but Mario's plumbing duties just got a whole lot more troubling. Me. Custom designed characters with much personality. Too much personality for idiots who change things randomly and without a viable reason. Link. A knight with the longest career of all time, assuming time warping counts. Lakitu. Somebody failed to learn that it's not polite to throw your friends down from the clouds. Bowser. Genuine question. How has he attempted the same stunt and failed so many times over? Fox McCloud. The fox who leads the team, flies the plane, and even fights the war against all odds. Lex. Proof that wordplay requires more than just a vocabulary. So yes, I've been mostly gone for quite a while, and there's a reason for it. I don't believe the finest details are necessary. I'll just say it began with a severe technical difficulty, and I physically could not make any content while it was going on. Or at least, doing so would have been so difficult, it would hardly have been worth the effort. But I was able to get that cleaned up, and since then, I've been focused on working on content to schedule on a weekly basis, because it's around that time again. And yes, this message is the signal that I am officially back to it. I hope this information finds you well. See you soon.